Hello everyone, this is Naeem Ahmad Peer. And before we dive into the topic, I want to introduce myself very briefly. I'm Naeem and I have done my master's in biochemistry from University of Kashmir with a CGPA 8.5, and now I'm doing research in biochemistry department. And today in this video lecture I'm going to discuss the most important biological process that takes place in plants. That process is known as photosynthesis. That topic is known as photosynthesis. It is the most important phenomenon and most important biological process that takes place in almost all autotrophic organisms apart from chemosynthetic organisms, right? Let's start. If I break this term photosynthesis so that we can get the proper meaning of this term, photo means light, and synthesis means to make or to synthesize something, to synthesize something. So, if I combine these two words, that means in presence of light, plants are going to synthesize their food or they are going to make their food, right? The proper definition of photosynthesis is that plants or any photosynthetic organism, they use light energy. They use light energy to drive the synthesis of organic compounds, to drive the synthesis of organic compounds. And these organic compounds are usually carbohydrates, or we can say that's glucose, right? In plants, this process of photosynthesis, it takes place in a specialized cell organelle, and that cell organelle is known as chloroplast. This cell organelle, which is meant for photosynthesis, is known as chloroplast. If we go to the structure of chloroplast, it's a double membrane cell organelle like this. It's its outer membrane. This is outer membrane of chloroplast, and it has its inner membrane. This is inner membrane, which has no foldings. It is a continuous membrane. This is inner membrane of chloroplast, and the fluid-like substance which is present inside the chloroplast. This fluid-like substance is known as, right? It is known as stroma. It is known as stroma. The fluid-like substance of a cell is called cytoplasm. The fluid-like substance of a nucleus is known as nucleoplasm. The fluid-like substance inside mitochondria is called matrix. Likewise, the semi-solid part of the chloroplast, that's called stroma. And in this stroma, there are present specialized disc-shaped structures or coin-like structures like this. If I talk about the single structure, this single disc or coin-like structure is known as thylakoid. This is called thylakoid. And in the chloroplast of plants, these thylakoids are arranged one above the another like this, and they form a continuous stake or a pile of chloroplast. This whole pile of chloroplast is known as grana. This is known as grana, and the singular is granum, right? This is another granum here. It's made of thylakoids, the plate-like structures, the disc-shaped structures, which are parallelly arranged one above the another. And chloroplast has an individual thylakoid which connects two grana. This is known as stromal lamellae. This is called stromal lamellae. Stromal lamellae, right? If we keenly observe the structure, we have two important structures inside the chloroplast. One is stroma, and another important structure that we are concerned about in case of the process of photosynthesis, that is thylakoid, right? Now let's start again. The process of photosynthesis in higher plants, this photosynthesis takes place in leaves. It takes place in leaves. That means leaf is a specialized organ of plants that is meant to perform the process of photosynthesis. And in case of green or herbaceous plants, the the hypodermal cells, which are inner to epidermis, they also perform photosynthesis. The main function for photosynthesis is given to leaves, right? This leaf has different cells present inside the leaves, but the most important cells which are actually involved in photosynthesis, these cells are called mesophyll cells. These cells are called mesophyll cells. Mesophyll cells, right? This is leaf. If I take the transverse section of leaf like this, we have above epidermis, we have lower epidermis. These two layers are called epidermis, and epidermal layers are not involved in photosynthesis except guard cells. And the innermost ground tissue, this is called mesophyll, and these mesophyll cells are involved for the process of photosynthesis, right? If I take one single mesophyll cell out, if I take one mesophyll cell, this mesophyll cell has different cell organelles, like it has nucleus, it has endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, chloroplast, and other cell organelles. Among all these cell organelles, the function of photosynthesis is not given to mitochondria or nucleus or Golgi. This function of photosynthesis is given to chloroplast. The function of photosynthesis is given to chloroplast. The structure of chloroplast is given here. You can see it, right? This chloroplast has two important structures that I already discussed. One is stroma, and another structure is thylakoid. It has two important structures. One is thylakoid, one is thylakoid, and another structure is stroma. Is this much clear? It has two important structures, thylakoid and stroma. This photosynthesis in higher plants, it takes place in two steps, or we can say two reactions.